of ventures he started, number of spectacular multi-billion-dollar ventures he started, and also the spectacular failures he's had. He's had one of the largest, at the time it was the largest venture capital failure in Silicon Valley. I'm gonna let him tell this story, but it's really a pleasure welcoming you.
Roughly how much time do we have?
An hour or so.
No? Okay. Good afternoon. Pleasure to meet you all. When Ellie asked me to talk about the art of failure, it kind of reminded me in 1997, I was asked by the government of Singapore, Office of the Prime Minister, to advise them on how to bring high-tech entrepreneurship into Singapore. So I had a meeting with Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Tony Tan in Palo Alto, and I mentioned to him, I have an idea. I think to bring high-tech entrepreneurship to Singapore, you need to really culturally start to think different. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, we have to change some of the laws. You know, in any country, if you want to bring high-tech entrepreneurship, you have to change the laws. So some countries have the laws for if your company fails, you go to jail. Some of them do not have laws that would provide tax advantages to new high-tech companies who want to get started, and therefore it would be difficult to create a corporation without different classes of stock. That would be a simple tax advantage way to create somewhat less expensive money to an organization. So they already were thinking about a lot of these and changed their laws to make it better. But what I told them was, how about having a change in the way you look at failure? How about if we start an annual event and we give awards as a celebration of failure? And you know, here is a wonderful, amazing, one of the best brains in the region. He almost fell off his chair. He said, you know, in Asia, we don't tolerate failure, let alone celebrate it. What the hell are you talking about? And how could this thing be possible? And I told him a story that did not really make enough sense at that time to them, but slowly they warmed up to that. And the high-level story that I said was my story of when I was skiing and I hurt my right shoulder. I had a pretty bad serious accident, and I had a 3.5-hour operation, rotator cuff surgery on my right shoulder. And for about 6 months or so, this was totally useless. I mean, the first couple of weeks before surgery was just dangling and you couldn't do anything. It was amazingly useless arm. And after surgery, the pain was so much with extensive therapy and everything, it really took a long time for me before, you know, I still cannot do this, you know. So it took a long time to get that. But what was interesting was I went to my tennis coach and I said that, you know, my right arm, hand, everything is completely out of commission. How about if you teach me to play tennis with the left hand? And he said, are you nuts? That is really difficult, and have you become ambidextrous? I said, yeah, slowly I'm learning how to do everything with left hand, and you know, our brain has amazing capacity. The moment we need it, we start to do things that we thought were impossible. we start to do them in different ways. And my first thing after I lost this arm was I learned how to put my contact lenses on. You know, how many of you wear contact lenses? How many of you have experience with them? You know, you need two hands, and you know you have to go this way, do it. Imagine you only have one hand, and now you try to get that. And yeah, it might be good actually as an exercise. Ask them, how many of you, if you just had to use an arm that's only down to here and another one that can go there with the left hand, how would you put a contact lens on? Any ideas?
I actually used to put it with one hand.
So you believe you can do that? I couldn't do it that way with just one. But what I learned to do was, while this was restricted and could not come up beyond this much, and it was in a sling, this was quite flexible. So I actually started to go like this, and this, you know, you bend your head and you pull this one down, and then with this one you put it on. You just learn. And so as I learned more and more, and I became totally ambidextrous, the game of tennis started to become doable. And what I didn't know was, because I didn't have all the power and the muscles and the things on my dominant hand, the right hand, for years I'd been playing tennis, I had pretty good sized muscles. On the left side, I didn't have these. So the only way I could hit the ball and put any force on it was to listen to the teacher. And for years he had been telling me, you know, this is how you open or close the face of the thing, and I say, yeah, I'm listening, and this is how you put a top spin, and you know, you try it, but you have all these bad habits, and so many years you have played without having a coach, and all these things. This hand was pure virgin, had no back experience, no bad things, and it just was very easy for it to follow whatever the teacher was saying. So whatever he was trying for 10 years and I couldn't learn, in a matter of couple months, I learned how to do it with the left hand. And when I finally got healthy right arm and shoulder so that I could do this thing and I could serve, guess what? The knowledge that I had gained automatically transferred from left part of my body to the right part. So I went to play with my friends, and they were surprised. My level of tennis had gone up significantly. I said, how did you learn to do all of these things? You could never do that. And I told them, well, you have to break a arm or shoulder or something if you really want to improve your game of tennis. So what do we learn from that? At times, it is a blessing to have a failure. And it all depends on your attitude, how you look at that failure. And if you celebrate it and say there is some wisdom behind this, I can use this as a way to really move forward and do things different way. You could actually evolve significantly better than the previous path you were on. You know, as human beings, we are all on some sort of evolutionary path trying to get better and better every day. And you could actually accelerate that while it appears for the moment that something really bad has happened to you. So let me give you a business example, since I know some of you have interest in business, and I guess Ellie talked about that. I've had one of the biggest failures in businesses for its time. My first company was called CAE Systems. I was 27 years old when I started that. And when I was 30, we sold it for 75 million. And my second company was Cirrus Logic. I started when I was 30. By the time I was 35, 36, the revenue was over $1 billion, and our market cap was over 3.5 billion. So my head started to swell up a little bit, and I'm thinking I can't do wrong, anything could be great, and whatever. So I had a dream one night that I was reading Wall Street Journal, and the Wall Street Journal that I had in my hand was kind of different. Remember, this was late 1988, early 1989. We didn't have, at that time, internet, we didn't have video delivery, we didn't have iPad, we didn't have any of these things. I was reading the paper, and it felt like the paper had some special properties. And the front page of that, there was an article about, I guess, the market for automobiles. And there was an advertisement for the Japanese car Honda. And as soon as I touched it, it became a video and started to serve me, you know, some advertisement. I said, wow. So in my dream, I was very impressed that this is a very special paper. So next day, I was just so fascinated by this idea. I started to tell everybody that, hey, I've got an idea for a new business, and I want to go and start a new kind of tablet computer that you can read it in a different way, and you can interact it by touching it and whatever. And I went around the world, selected some of the best computer architects, some of the best chip designers, some of the best graphics people, display people, had the resources, and put an amazing company together called Momenta. And by this time, the venture capitalist would not bother me too much with too many questions. They were saying, Kamran is crazy, give him money, he will give you a lot more back, because I had two big successes behind me. So they gave me 40 million bucks plus my own money, and we went and started this business. And in a couple years, I created a Momenta computer. Those of you who have access to the internet, if you say, do a search for Momenta, M-O-M-E-N-T-A, not momentum, Momenta computer, you should be able to see we were in the cover of about 20 magazines, all the big computer magazines put us on the cover. When in 1992, when we introduced this computer, it was called the most valuable product of the year, the greatest thing since sliced bread, the future of computing is touch, all of these things, whatever. And I went and I talked to the big computer stores, and I got, did you see it? Has it come? Maybe one of you? Yeah. So you could touch it by hand, you could touch it with a pen, you could attach a keyboard to it, and it was, at that time, sorry?
It's like the iPad.
Yeah, it was 20 years ahead of iPad, yeah. At that time, we didn't have internet. So what I tried to do to get the vision come true was we tried to set up a number of, the closest thing we had at that time was we could send and receive faxes. So we developed some wireless technology so that we could send faxes in a very, very crude way and receive faxes. And because it could not go everywhere, you had to be connected to something. We set up these servers. So if you send me a fax and my machine was turned off, it would sit on the server till I would turn it on, and then I would receive it. And since this wireless thing was not available in many places, the best way to make it work at that time, with the lack of infrastructure, was to attach it to a phone line and just use a phone line and a fax modem thing that we invented to put inside it. So it was a very, very crude way of making my dream come true, and that's the best I could do. But when I showed it everywhere, everybody was saying, this is such an amazing product, the thing, we want it. And you know, in those days, you didn't have a website, you couldn't sell the things. in, on the internet, whatever. You had to go. There were specific computer stores, and I went and I met president of the biggest computer stores. One was called Computerland, one was called Business Electronics, one was called Comp USA. When I met the president of these companies, they each gave me a huge order. And I said, okay, I cut it by 1/3. So I came and I told my board of directors that my first year revenue would be $100 million. That was 1/3 of all the orders I had from all these guys, because everybody was saying this is the most amazing thing. I believed in simplicity, so we decided, you know how iPhone has a lot of pride in having one button? We had 0 buttons, sir. We said, you shall not, a clean user interface shall have no buttons. And as soon as you put your finger, you put the pen on the surface of that. This graphic representation would come out called command compass, and depending on whether you went to the left or up or right, different commands would be executed, and anywhere you place it, it would give you 4 to 8 choices what to do, and whichever direction you went, the set of things that you needed to be done would get done. To make a long story short, while everybody was so excited and the analysts kept giving me awards and all of these things, when we shipped it to the stores, the salespeople in the stores didn't know what it is. They said, this doesn't look like a computer. It's a, keyboard was an attachment that you had to buy. This thing would arrive, they would just look at it and say, how do you use it? What is it? And how do you even figure it out? And we were, it was so intuitive. We thought we can teach people how to use it. But we found out within these computer stores, whichever training we would put to train 100 of them, 2 weeks later, it would be such an amazing churn and turnover that the people that we had trained had left, and they had lots of part-time students, a lot of interns, a lot of people in the computer stores at that time that were not permanent people. So it really was tough. And then, because technology was limited, it didn't work really fast, and getting your stuff through the 28.4 kilobits per second was not the fastest way to do business. So, make a long story short, instead of delivering 100 million, I delivered $3 million in revenue that year, which you might think for a company, takes 2.5 years, develop a product, first year revenue 3 million is not bad, but because I had such a big head and believing that I can do miracles, and whether I wanted to outdo my previous organization's companies, investors got really pissed off. So it was April 1st, 1992 when I came to work. I saw there is a board meeting, and I said that, what's going on? I didn't call a board meeting. They said, well, we did. You are fired. And I laughed. I told them, hey, this is a good April 1st, April Fool's Day joke, whatever. But I noticed none of them are smiling. And for a while, the same newspapers, magazines who were saying, this is the wave of the future, and Kamran is the most visionary person, this or that, came and said that, okay, in high technologies like Hollywood, you're always as good as your last movie, and if your last movie is a flop and you don't do it, everybody wrote about what a big screw-ups I was. And I remember Harvard Business School had written these cases about me, a couple of them, and then I had to go and defend it. That what went wrong, how did I screw up, and I got a lot of great lessons, lectures from MBA students who were telling me what I should have done to make it right and all of that, which was very enlightening had I known it earlier. So when you have a big loss, a big failure, how is it that you feel? Any of you have ever lost somebody close to you or a big thing? How do you feel? Can you Sorry?
Defeated.
Defeated?
Shitty.
Shitty, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Powerless.
Powerless, yeah. Well, you know, the psychologists say the first thing is denial. You just say that this didn't happen to me. I remember I got up, I started to put my clothes on, picked up my briefcase, started to go to work. Next day after I've been fired and they've kicked me out. My wife says, "Where are you going?" I said, "To work." She says, "You were just fired yesterday, come on." I said, "No, that can't be true. I mean, how could they do this? I made them billions of dollars. I'm the coolest guy, the greatest executive they have ever seen. They can't do this to me." She says, "Yes, they can, and they did it, and stay home," whatever. So what's the second feeling? The psychologist says, after you accept that, yeah, maybe this happened and can't deny it, you feel angry. You know, why did it happen to me? How come if there is a God, that God picks on me and punishes me, and why me? And they should have fired somebody else, or it was that guy's fault, not mine, or whatever, all of that. And this feeling takes a while. If you're lucky, only a few minutes, or a few hours or days. If you're unlucky, you could stay bitter and sad for many weeks, months, lifetime for some people. Thank God for me, it didn't last very long. And the next thing is, you say, okay, I accept it, I failed. That's the beginning of your recovery, especially if you are man enough to cry a little bit and let the tears come along. You know, the nature or the way we are brought up, men are not allowed to cry. Those of you who believe in that nonsense, trust me, one of the best things you could ever do is to cry. I think women have an advantage that the society allows them to cry. We are supposed to be macho, and heavens forbid if we ever cry or whatever. Once you go through some good trials and whatever, then that's when positive things start to happen. And you say, okay, so this went wrong, these were the things. What should I do next? And that was where it was the beginning of an amazing evolutionary path in my thought process. I didn't know what to do. Total confusion. Why? Why is it that we start a new company? Have you ever thought of it? Why do people start a new company? Can you think of some reasons? If any of you have ever started a company.
It could be for money, lifestyle, passion, belief.
Yeah, very true. Some people want to make a lot of money. Some people want to have a good lifestyle, financial independence, be your own boss.
But they have a great idea.
That they have a great idea. Some people want to go and see their idea, their baby become prevalent. You take a lot of pride. You pass a store and you see the computer or whatever widget, gadget you invented or created is on display. See it. My problem, and some people want recognition. I don't know whether that's what you were thinking to say or whatever. Did you have something different to add?
Kind of what Christine said, that you see something missing and you see something that can go or should go.
Yeah. And those are all true. Some other people also like the recognition. You know, it's cool to get pats on your back, get your picture on magazines and newspapers, whatever. Some people think it's great to be famous. For my case, I had done all of those at a young age, and none of them were that meaningful anymore. You know, if you don't have amazing greed or whatever, you make some money, you buy a nice home, buy a nice car, maybe buy a vacation home or something. Pretty much your needs are met. I mean, unless you have a crazy greed, it doesn't make sense for you to have 5 homes or 10 homes and have one in France and one in Japan and one in... Those things don't bring happiness. They're not the right thing. It doesn't really make sense to own an airplane. It's one of the worst things anybody could do, have a corporate jet or have a, ocean liner or a yacht or whatever, all that crap. Those are all just nonsense, as far as I'm concerned, take whatever my 2 cents advice is worth. Those things do not bring you happiness. It's more headache, more problematic. My problem was I didn't know what to do. And I really was disappointed or sad that if I had that dream, and if you believe that there is another source that is feeding you some of these things and whatever, call it God, call it force, call it the universal cosmic energy, however way you want to define it, the dream did not come from me. I'm telling you that. I mean, it wasn't like I had read 5 books and I had put all of that together. Harry Potter had not even come. At least in Harry Potter, if you read the Prophet magazine or whatever, it has moving things. Those things were not around at that time. So where the hell did the idea come from? How did it come? So I was thinking maybe there was something special about that dream that caused me to go and do this. And if I followed that and followed my gut, why did I fail? And how could these things come along? So I was really confused. Well, while I was unhappy, while I was confused, didn't know what to do, and all these newspapers were writing all of these negative things, my wife was really smart. She says, hey, let's go and to a private island in Fiji that had no telephone lines, no TV, no radio, no newspapers. And this way I was totally isolated from all the negative things. And he says, hey, you can just stay there, Thank God we have enough money. We can stay here the rest of our life and not worry about the things. And here was a very interesting thing. The first week or 2 was quite interesting because you are just so relieved. They even said that don't bring a watch, or if you bring a watch with you, take it off and don't use it. They said while you are in this private island, you need to know only 3 things. One is breakfast, one is lunch, one is dinner. And they had these natives who were amazing, who would roll the drums, and since it was a small private island, you could hear it all over the island, wherever you were. You would walk towards the central area and they would feed you. And then you would go back and do whatever you were doing. And you could do sailing, scuba diving, swimming, have as many margaritas and Mai Tais as you want, or whatever. So you would think that, hey, this sounds heaven, this is great. Within a couple of weeks, I got up and I was looking and I said, God damn, another gorgeous day with beautiful sun, beautiful beach. I'm just climbing up the walls. What the hell am I gonna do? Because, while this whole idea of vacation and this and that is all amazing and we all dream about it, it is only good if you know that a week later or 2 weeks later you have to come back to normal life. That's when you enjoy it. If you stay there, after 2-3 weeks, if you have a pretty good brain, that I'm sure all of you do, and you need to be challenged and you have lots of energy, which you all do or whatever, it's like prison. It's just a fancy prison that you are just there. You don't know. There are only, so many Mai Tais you can have. It is not a very fulfilling, interesting thing. So I learned a new lesson because I never had taken 2-week vacation before that time. I was 38 years old, and it was quite neat. Never, since I started to work, I had never had 2-week vacation in my life. I was always 24/7, work, this thing. So I thought vacation is always great, but after 2 weeks I was really bored with that. Then I said, okay, maybe the problem is because I know I like to learn new things, whatever. I should take vacation by going to many different places. And as you go from place to place, each place you have to learn so much about the local culture, local language, local religion, this or that. That keeps your brain busy, and you will do this. So that was quite interesting. And I went from one place to another to another. Some places I went with friends, some I went with my wife, some I went with other family members. So over a year, just kept, going from one place for another. The Aborigines in Australia have this concept of walkabout. You familiar with it? Yeah. If you don't have peace with yourself, you go for a walkabout and you don't come back till you have peace with yourself. So my walkabout took about 13, 14 months all over the world, several different places. What I learned was astonishing. Every place that I went, once I stayed enough to study their language, enough to learn enough. Some places I became reasonably fluent in their language. As they trusted me as one of their own and were kind to me to share ideas, I noticed every country believed that their race, their ethnicity, their country was very special. Was the best, chosen by God, better than everybody else. They were the special people on the planet. I will give you some examples. The Japanese believe that Japan is land of gods, protected by gods, and anytime anybody would try to attack it, gods would send some force to destroy them. You all have heard the concept of kamikaze, right? What is it? Kami is divine, kaze is wind, the divine wind. When in the, leftover of Genghis Khan's army was trying to attack Japan, they got to Okinawa the night before they were supposed to attack with all their ships and everything. This divine wind came, a tsunami came and destroyed everything, and island was saved. So they really believed that they were special. What did Chinese think? China is the only civilized race. Everyone else is barbarian. What did Italians think? Italy the Romans brought all the culture to the whole world. Everybody else was barbarian. The Greeks, we know the Greeks invented all the culture and everything. Say that in the book. The Persians, Eli and I can tell you, we know the Persian race was the best race, and these guys, the Persian Empire brought everything. Without Persian Empire, nothing existed. Should I tell you what the French think? Should I tell you what... I was giving once a lecture in Israel, and I said, nobody in this land thinks that they're chosen people, do they? So, it was unbelievable. And then as you study the religions, guess what?
Same thing.
Same thing. Every single one of them say they are God's special chosen people, and they are going to go to heaven, and everybody else is going to go to hell. And you just kind of say, if there is a God, and that God is just, doesn't that sound kind of strange that would only select one slice group of all of his creations and send them to heaven, and the rest of them who are his creation? This sounds like a rather, pitiful God or whatever. So an idea came to my mind. I thought if there was a way that every child could travel around the world like I had and get exposure at a young age to many different cultures, then that child will not be so susceptible to a political leader or religious leader who says, hate the other group, hate the other people, only follow me, we are going to go to heaven, and everybody else is going to die and be destroyed and all of that. And they would not be so quick to not just hate, but they would not be so quick to act on it. When a political leader says, attack, kill, whatever, because these people are bad, they say, wait a minute. I've studied it. They seem to be pretty good people, and they seem to be reasonable. Now, since, even though I had reasonable sums of money, airline tickets, whatever, was quite expensive, and getting the kids to do that would not be possible. By this time, the internet started to emerge, and I started to think, oh, that's the solution. Let's have virtual travel, virtual cultural exchanges, and really created a very clear idea, philosophy for my life, that instead of just going and starting a company to make money, instead of just starting a company to be famous or whatever, I will only create companies that help make the internet faster, better, make the communication between people stronger. Or I develop the technologies that make mobile computers, laptop computers, phones, all of that become smaller, better, so that people can communicate and get to know each other and do their virtual things better. So that became the first philosophy of my life. Second philosophy became, I will only start or help to create companies that are global companies from day one. Because if we get the people to have the same profit motive, even though they are coming from different countries, they all want to make that company successful, they will cooperate with each other, regardless of what religion they have, what country they come from. And the third thing that became a big part of my life was I have had enough. If there is a God, that God has been generous to me. I've made enough money. I bought a nice home. I never felt I needed a second home. Actually, the home we bought 30-some years ago is still too much for us. It was a 4-bedroom nice home. It's not a palace, doesn't have swimming pool, doesn't have tennis courts. I found that those are all more hassles to have those things. Why not create a global foundation, and all the money that comes to me and has come to that point, use it for some good things? So these three things became the principles of my life. And lo and behold, started many more companies, had a few more hiccups and failures or whatever, that I learned a lot from each one of them. But the ones follow-up who were successful were huge successes, huge ones. The biggest one was, the fourth one was actually Neomagic Corporation, that after 2.5 years of hard work, our first year revenue was 41 million, second year was 125 million, third year was 240 million. We took it public, market cap was over 700 million. Phenomenal company. My sixth company was the biggest success, Centillium Communications. So we owned about 70% of DSL. You all remember before 4G came along, DSL. We owned 70% of DSL market share. We took the company public. And the day of IPO, our market cap was 700 million. Within a couple years, we were over 4 billion in terms of market valuation. Most recent success I had, you all have seen 4G, Sprint, Verizon are all talking about 4G. I was the founding investor board member. It was my team from Centillium. that started this company called BSIM. You know, BSIM means wireless in Persian. It was a 4G chip. We owned 67% of 4G chips. Revenue last year was over 100 million. We just sold it to Broadcom for 330 million bucks. So when you do these kinds of things as a business that helps bring people closer together, and every one of the companies I started at that time all had been global from day one. R&D in a couple places, manufacturing in a couple other places, sell it, market it anywhere in the world. Use the business so that people from different cultures get to know about each other and work with each other. So when I look back and I say, holy mackerel, what happened to me? How great it was that I failed, that caused me to go and really do some deep thinking and soul searching about what I should do. And how the new philosophy of life really helped me have an amazingly fulfilling life. There are a few days in my life that I can remember since my trip ended that I did not wake up with a big smile on my face, and the smile lasted all along. And it used to be that, I remember in my first company, our CTO used to say, Kamran always smiles because he doesn't know any better. And I used to say, ignorance is a bliss. But it was really interesting when you adopt a philosophy that makes sense, that hits a lot of the things that in different levels. You know, we have our physical body, we have our intellectual, and we have our soul. When it hits all of them and allows you to evolve in each one of them and push each one of them into, you know, next level, it is fascinating. It is a life that you know, has been so nice when horrible things happen to many situations. I remember when 2000 the dot-com bust happened, or in 2008 when the financial crisis happened. So many of my friends who are all billionaires and millionaires and multi-millionaires and this and that, they all got ulcers, they all developed all sorts of problems, whatever. And I'm always smiling. I come and they say, how could you be smiling? You know, Dow Jones dropped another 20% today. I didn't lose money. The money went to foundation. Poor God, I feel bad for him. He lost a lot of money, you know, today. Whatever, it's not me and that. I mean, I really feel sorry for God. And life becomes... Sure.
I changed the battery in the microphone.
To iPad, it was called Newton. That was another huge flop, and Apple lost a few hundred million on that. I only lost 40 million. For a while, as Ellie says, there used to be articles written that the guy who lost the most amount of venture capital in the shortest period of time. And then other people started to lose more money. I remember there was this company called Go Corporation that lost 75 million a year and a half later. And they started to become the champion loser. And I got really pissed off that I even failed in failure. I couldn't hold on to my title. Is this okay now? Now, let me give you, now that we have that perspective, let's come along and think on any one of you who wants to go and do something, whatever it is, whether you want to start a new company, whether you want to start a new charity work, whether you want to go and change the policy of a neighborhood, a country, a whole continent, whatever area you want to work. If you want to do something which is meaningful, you have to believe and understand from day one that if you want to do something really meaningful, it's going to be extremely tough. And you are going to fail. And you are going to fail on a daily basis. You know how they show these, those of you who have studied business or have read about the S-curve or about the hyperbolic expansion, whether you read about Google, about Facebook, about eBay, about whichever big company you're familiar with. That's typically what they show, right? Amazing, geometrical, you know, logarithmic, exponential, amazing growth, right? So from outside you look at it and you say, wasn't this great? I went and actually charted in my fourth company, NeoMagic, which 10 quarters right after IPO, that each quarter we grew. I told you, first year revenue was 41 million, second year was 125, next year was 240 million. I went and I charted them on a quarterly way, and it did match this kind of a thing. But then I asked the financial people to chart this on a monthly revenue growth. And all of a sudden, the picture changed. It was not like this anymore. You know what was it like? More something like this. So the trend was up. When you drew the chart, it became nice and great. If we had looked at it on a weekly basis or daily basis, I bet you the gyrations were even bigger. Why? Because anything meaningful, big, good that you try to do, you have to take certain risks. You have to push the envelope. And when you push the envelope, on a daily basis, you will have successes in some areas, thank God, so it goes up, but you would also have failures. Why? Any of you who have ever been involved in business, you know, you send your salespeople out, they go try to get new business as they convince this customer and that customer. Your good customer that was so loyal, so fantastic, closes down, loses business, you know, moves out to another location, God knows what. Or just decides that your product is crappy and doesn't want to buy it anymore. So it's full of ups and downs on a regular basis. So if you know that and you understand that, then you look at it as success is management of failure. Meaning, here is this failure, some customers are canceling, our revenues is coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down. If you can manage it and get some new orders, some new things, fix the quality problem, fix the product efficiencies, figure out what is going on so you can get it next month go up, then it goes up. Otherwise, you're dead. You run out of money, you lose your customers, the business goes belly up. So if you recognize this and know success is management of failure, if you accept it, that you are going to have many failures on a regular basis in anything difficult, worthwhile that you try to do, how would you approach life then? If you know that, hey, if you are not failing, you are not pushing it enough. know, I mentioned to you the evolution. I said as human beings we have the physical side, mental side, and spiritual side. On physical side, I mentioned to you game of tennis. I still am learning and getting better. Every day I try to be a better tennis player than the week before. On skiing, that same thing that happened to me. Next season, as soon as I could, I went to the same mountain, the same area, went and I conquered it. Didn't let the thing stop me from skiing. Today I ski double diamonds. At that time I couldn't. So you accept it that I'm going to fail. I'm going to have broken bones. I've had 13 operations so far. But that's part of my evolution. That each time I've learned physical therapy, I've learned how to bounce back, how to come out and move to the next level. In every sport I do, today, at my age, I do it better than when I was 18 or 19 or 20. When I talk to my trainers, they say, we are scared what you are going to do when you are 90 years old. You might win the Olympics. So if you know and accept that failure is going to happen, what can you do? What should you do? Should you run away and not start a business? Do you want to be a sissy and just say, oh my God, this hurts too much, I'm not going to do this. I might get fired, I better not do this. I might, be hurt because I'm pushing this way and the rest of company, the rest of organization, the rest of government oppose me. If you decide to take the challenge, and I'm telling you, when you look at your life overall, you will have many more ups than downs. But for some periods, in between, there would be some downs, and those downs would be hurting. But remember to cry, remember to get it out of your system, and remember, it's not you who has failed. You are a winner because you had the guts to go and pursue your dream. And there is a bigger hand in play that whenever you have those downs, there is some wisdom, something behind it. Don't lose your confidence. So if you think that way, what sorts of things you could do to have ability to make sure more ups happen and the downs are limited so you could turn it around and move up? First of all, we are social animals as human beings, and we are much better, have much better chance to change the world if we work as a team. So start to look who you want to be in your team and tell them from beginning that, hey, it's going to be bumpy. We are going to have problems. Don't hire people who have no stomach for ups and downs. The good thing is there will be lots of ups and downs, and if you don't like what you see, wait a few minutes, a few days, and up will come. Work hard, good things will happen. In Cirrus Logic, my second company, we had this rule that as soon as we had a big win, whatever it was, new engineering achievement, new algorithm, new customer win, new quality win, whatever, we'd run out, and we had this big thing that we would come like a gong show and hit it and make a big noise. Everybody would come, and we would quickly serve some, food or champagne or cake or something, and say, celebrate, celebrate. They said, why? What's the rush? I said, because if we don't celebrate quickly, something bad is going to happen. I I want to celebrate the moment before the bad stuff starts to happen. So when you're putting your team together, what are the characteristics that you are looking for in whatever thing you try to do? If you know that this failure is going to happen, what is the first thing you need to know? Don't you need to know ASAP that something is wrong? The sooner you know it, the more time you have to fix it and turn it out. What kind of team member will give you the information you need? Do you want somebody in your team who is honest and tells you the way it is? Or do you want somebody who kisses up to you and says, hey boss, everything is good, no worry, no worry? Answer is obvious. You want honest people. Honest people tell you, hey, we got a problem. The sooner you know, the more time you have to fix it. What's the second characteristic you want in people? You know you have a problem. What kind of person can solve a problem? Do you want a stupid person or a smart person? Obviously, smart person. Why? Because look at yourselves. You're all smart. You can't sit still and do nothing. You sit, boring guy like me comes and gives a lecture, your brain is smart, you start to go and do some texting or something. Because your brain is smart, wants to solve a problem, wants to do something. Right? So always select people who are smarter than you, because then you own them, because they are owned by their brain. Their brain needs to solve problems. If we don't have problems, what do? We solve puzzles. We solve Sudoku. We play chess. Smart people. You have to do something, because it's the food for our brain is problem. It's a puzzle. It's an issue. What's the other characteristic you look? If you know the problem, you know many of them are not easy to solve. You might have a solution, but many times the first solution, as good as it might be theoretically, doesn't work. Thomas Edison had the idea, the theory about how to make a light bulb. Did he make it on the first try, on the second, on the third, on the fifth, on the 20th, on the 30th? It requires a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance. You want to have people in your team who are not quitters, who just have it and say, I'm going to solve this problem, I stay with it, I'm going to make it happen. And again, you want them to be operating as a team. So select the people who appreciate the value of all the other team members. And you, instead of you doing everything yourself, you become the coach. You become the coach and select who is going to be playing defense, who is going to play offense, who is going to do what, move the pieces to fit the best so the progress would be there. And learn the weaknesses and strengths of each one and match them together. That becomes the job of the most successful leader. And what is the last characteristic that you need to have in your team? Can anybody think of?
Flexibility.
Sorry?
Flexibility.
Yeah, flexibility is important, but that's not the one I have in mind. Yeah, that's important.
Do you need a kind of salesperson, like someone who's outgoing?
I mean, yeah, in every business you need mixture of people. But I'm thinking of something a little bit different, out of the box.
Pushes the envelope.
That is a good thing, yes, but... Sorry?
So how about we just let you tell us?
See, that's my failure. If I can't get you guys to give me the answer, I'm not good.
About someone's empathy or sensitivity?
Yeah, that's good characteristic. We are getting there.
What about someone to cheer the team up?
Yeah, we are getting closer to it.
Someone who's calm under pressure. Or something.
Yeah. How can we create calm under pressure, under the things? If you have people in your team who have a sense of humor, when somebody tells a joke, what happens? A good joke.
Others laugh.
Everybody laughs. What happens? It reduces the tension. People start to share an experience together. They become more in tune with each other. And our body produces various chemicals that, reduces the chance for ulcers, reduces the chance for cancer. You don't want to go start a business, push something and end up with divorce, end up with unhappy boyfriend, unhappy girlfriend. You don't want to go to have an unhappy husband or wife. You don't want to have your dog run away because you are going to go home and kick the dog. Hey, under pressure, people do all sorts of crazy things. All it takes is select people who have a sense of humor, and sooner or later, when that big thing comes and everybody's emotions, oh my God, sky is falling, we are all going to die, horrible things are going to happen, somebody tells a joke in the middle of that. Everybody laughs. Some have nervous laughter, some have genuine laughter, but it's contagious, it goes through. Everybody cools down. Says, okay, rational minds will always find solutions. I'm a master scuba diver. I've dived all over the world. I've done a lot of strange dives, crazy dives. But, what's the first rule they tell you at the time of crisis, when you're so many feet down and you have equipment failure or something? What's the first thing that you do?
Don't laugh.
She's getting close to that. The first thing they ask you to do is do nothing. That's the first thing. Because if you just take a second and relax and look at the situation in a calm way, as a smart person, there is a way out of any problem. The worst you could do is, as she says, panic and go around. Nothing good comes out of that. I'll tell you a story. I've been through many, many things in my life, but one story comes up about panic. I was in Washington, D.C. This story is at least 15 years ago. Very cold winter night. Around 3 or 4 in the morning, I wake up by the sirens, the fire alarm. Have you ever been in a hotel with fire? I mean, that siren is deafening. You just, oh my God, it's just, you can't sleep through it. You have to get up, and it makes you really panicky, actually. It's one of the craziest effects it has. So I wake up, and I hear this thing, and I know something is wrong. And your brain, if you are trained, the first thing is you do nothing. So I slow down and say, okay, first of all, where am I? I'm in a hotel. It's not my home. It's dark. I need light. Where was the first light? You look around and remember, yeah, there was a bed lamp next to you. You reach in there and you turn the light on. It's very key. What's the next thing you do? Get up, start to look around. You hear noises, big noises, first thing they say is don't rush out there. You go and touch the door handle, touch the door and see if it is hot or not. If it is hot, you better stay in, because you open the door, the flames are going to take you in. That's not good. If it is not hot, then it's wise to leave. But you have to check for something else. There might be lots of smoke that kills you. And you slightly open the door, look out to see if smoke is coming or not. Right? I did that. No smoke. But what did I see? Tens of people. I don't know, 20, 30, 40 of them. Running along like the chickens with their head cut off. Back and forth, in their undies, in their PJs, whatever, half naked, just running like that. I said, okay, that's hopeless. So I closed the door, and I said, none of them, I didn't see anybody burning, I didn't see any smoke, I didn't see anything, so I have time. So I came back and I said, okay, where am I? DC, January, cold day. If I make it out, I'm going to freeze. I better put some clothing on. So I put my pants on, I put a heavy-duty jacket on, and as I'm coming out, I said, oh, I need contact lenses, because without my contact lenses, my visibility is poor. Now, it's crisis, so I don't have time to put it on, but I should have it, because those days, you know, you couldn't have disposable ones or whatever so easily. So, came back, picked up my contact lenses. Actually, it was more than 15 years ago, because I remember in those days we had to have a briefcase full of files. We didn't have the internet and the iPhone or BlackBerry that your files traveled with you or whatever. So, I have lots of company files. I need them once I get out. These are valuable things. I came back, picked up my briefcase, my wallet in it, everything. I came out. How long did all of this take? 20 to 30 seconds, actually. I was calm. I did all of this. Then I came out, and I see the same people I saw 30 seconds ago are still going back and forth. They haven't left. They haven't gone one floor down. They're just... So I go and I look. Oh, my God. Majority of them are standing in front of the elevator, because we are on 15th floor or something. Even the big sign says, in case of fire, don't use elevator. They're all pushing this way. So I said, okay, somebody needs to take charge in here. These people are hopeless. So I went by the elevator, and I yelled from top of my lung the most obscene language I could ever think of, using F-word here or there. And I said, all of you, shut up and listen to me. All of a sudden, they're like children. They all are quiet, because I have power authority. I said, can't you read this sign? In case of fire, don't use elevator. You see that exit sign? We are all going to walk, not run over there. They're just little kids. They all follow me. We just go very nice, orderly. Each floor we go down, I check the thing. Do we go out? No. Fire is not here. We went one more, no smoke is coming up. By the time we got to the third floor, the firemen have reached. They treated us like cattle. Just throw us out and run, and whatever. You know. Guess what? They threw us out in the street, freezing cold. All these people are half naked. They're all freezing. I mean, so I said, okay. I have a bigger group of, because firemen are all worried about fire. They are not thinking about who is cold, who is feeling, who is shivering, whatever. So I started to knock on the doors of all the homes. I said, would you take 5 of these people in? This, that. One after another. I found a home for everybody to go there and not freeze. I came back and spoke to the fire people, and they said that, where did everybody go? I said, why? They said, oh, there was an isolated thing in a garbage can. Somebody had thrown a cigarette. in the 6th floor on the north end of the thing, and it was a minor thing. I said, oh God, so many people probably could have died because of cold and running down and all of this. So I knew where everybody was, so I went and I knocked at the doors and said, okay, you can come back, and they all had blankets around them, whatever, and they came out. So the point I'm trying to bring across is when you go through failure after failure after failure, you don't let these minor things in life put you into panic, cause you to lose your confidence, lose your sense. Each one of them makes you stronger, better. And there is always a way out of every situation. And when the day comes that my brain can't find it because whatever reason I couldn't see it on time or this or that, guess what? If you have followed your heart, if you have lived the life the way I have done, every day, including today, is a good day to die. I promise you, because you have already lived the life of 5 people, 10 people, 20 people. So, that's why I told Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore that we need to celebrate failure. It took him a long time, many more meetings. He finally agreed. And he said, what do you suggest? I said, we go and find all the people who started a business in Singapore, failed, and then so many years later started a business and succeeded. We will give them the Phoenix Award. I commissioned a fantastic artist, Singaporean, very, very creative person, to design a very high-tech phoenix, you know, the bird that rises through the ashes. And for 5 years, I would go to Singapore every year. The senior minister, father of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, and I would stand on the stage and give the Phoenix Award to the entrepreneur in Singapore who had failed and had managed to come up with a success. To tell people that, hey, it's okay to fail. You learn from it, and your chances for success are a hell of a lot higher. Thank you very much. I'm open. I guess we have time for a few questions or whatever. So, yes.
Well, there are about 10 of us who will be going to several different countries. And if we find that there are some trends that arise, would you recommend trying to link the entrepreneurs in the different countries to speak to each other, if we can coordinate that internet-wise? Would that be?
Absolutely, because typically the entrepreneurs in any country are your allies. Because if you look at it, an average entrepreneur is doing something that overall benefits humanity. Think about it. Whether the entrepreneur succeeds or fails, the society wins. Why? Because somebody called an entrepreneur goes and comes up with an idea, good or bad, starts a business, hires 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, 50 people. Guess what? He or she created 50 jobs, 20 jobs, 3 jobs. Every one of those people needs a desk, needs a chair, needs a mobile phone, maybe needs a laptop. Everyone that you buy creates a job for someone else in the planet. So entrepreneurs are doing the work of God, if there is a God. Why wouldn't they be the best candidates who have something special in them that you can tap on? And many of them, for whatever reason they started their business, if their businesses are good, and you can check, if they have started a gambling business or, you know, I don't know, loan shark business or whatever, it's not the type of entrepreneur I'm talking about. But if they have started a business that helps their community, helps their society, helps their country, it's a good business, that's a natural ally for you. Absolutely. Any other questions? Yes?
Could you speak about some of your work and also your wife's work on some of the foundation that you set?
Oh, God. Yeah, in 1996, we created Schools Online, which was an NGO, global NGO, nonprofit organization. Our first project, our idea was internet is so good, we can revolutionize education and get the children to have access to education and get them to become global citizens at a very young age, so they learn about other cultures, other religions at a young age. So our first project was actually Indian reservations, the Native American reservations. I had the privilege of meeting the chiefs of 178 tribes, the nations, actually chiefs of nations in Colorado. I told them that they should select one school, and we will make sure that we donate computers and provide some training for their teachers and get every school access to the internet. That took us about 6-7 months to do. It was a phenomenal project. That was in 1996. In 97, February 97, I started another big project, which was to go to Washington, D.C. In 96, 97, less than 30% of schools in America had access to the internet. The rate of internet was very expensive to have access to because telecom companies were charging schools as a business. While you could have a phone at your home for only $5, $10 per month, and that was all you paid. You could make as many local calls as you could. The school had to pay like a business. So even though if you donated computers to them, set up computer labs, per minute charges were a couple dollars per minute. No school would use our equipment. So we had to do advocacy to create what was referred to as E-rate. Al Gore actually was a phenomenal, amazing person who drove this one and made it through and really created the E-rate, education rate for internet by 1998 or so. But in February 97, I went to Washington. I met with the governors of 13 states that Appalachian range runs through it. You know, Appalachia is the poorest part of the United States. And I sat there for 2 hours watching these governors arguing over a, I can't remember, 8-mile road that was crossing a couple different states and who should pay for it. And when my time came, I said, I want you to select 2,500 schools within your 13 states, a couple hundred schools per state, and we will arrange computers to be shipped there and internet to be brought. And they all were just thinking I'm smoking dope or I'm out of my mind or whatever, you know. So, what's the catch? Well, how you're going to give us all of these things? I said, yeah. In 98, we started our activities in Japan. Then 99, we went to Israel and Palestine. It is a special part of the world because if you look at all the major religions of the world, the Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, they all talk about the conflict is going to start from the holy city of Jerusalem and the day of awakening, the Armageddon, whatever each book refers to, it is all talking about that. So I thought we need to go at a young age, get the kids the Arab kids and the Jewish kids and the Christian kids all to start to work with each other and use the internet to develop a friendship. We started with schools in Israel, in Palestine, in Jordan, Egypt, Lebanon. Each country we had somewhere between 10 to 30 schools that we would set up computer labs and provide access to the internet. Each computer lab had minimum 10 computers. By 2003, we had 6,400 schools in 36 countries, and we helped bring the internet in a number of different countries. Our schools were the pioneer schools, and some of them that had amazing impact. The first 50 schools in India that had access to internet, we selected 5 cities, in each city 10 schools in slums of India, and we set up computer labs with 20 computers, high-speed internet access in each one of them, and this got replicated by the government to 50,000 schools. It just took off like crazy, and today, 12 years later, India is amazingly high on information technology, all of that. We felt really strong that the seeding we did was quite helpful to get a lot of new jobs being created, things help in Iran. The first 295 schools that had access to the internet without the knowledge of Ayatollahs, we arranged for it, and without the knowledge of US government. Actually, we had to, at that time, go through UK because the Bush administration did not have any stomach for you wanting to give computers to kids in Iran. You're not allowed to do charity in Iran, and because of sanctions, all of that. With Obama administration, thank God the policy has been reversed, and they actually encourage you to go, and they saw what happened with the revolution and with use of Twitter and Facebook and whatever, and said, oh, maybe these things are good, maybe this is a way to bring change into a society. A number of different countries, we felt good that we were having a small impact, creating something, and really try to create every place global citizens, people who think outside of their village, outside of their city, outside of their country, see a bigger thing outside of just their religion, see and celebrate the humanity that we all share. We have done many other projects on the humanitarian side. My wife has been quite a bit involved. In 2003, we merged Schools Online with Relief International. It was an organization she was on the board of, and this became a huge organization. We had over 2,000 employees in 25 countries, and we would not only set up clinics or build homes and do various different things, but we would also use Schools Online knowledge and set up computer labs, clinics with internet access, all sorts of this. In 2009, we decided to change, and I joined United Nations as I'm co-chair of United Nations GATE, Global Alliance for Information Communication Technology, to use computers and internet to help bring peace and make the goals of UN achieved around the world. And I started to look into a different approach for changing the world. Instead of working with schools, we decided that the new generation of laptops called netbooks, thanks to Professor Negroponte at MIT, he created a whole new category for children, smaller laptops which are quite rugged and have got quite a bit of storage facility and a lot of unique features that children want, and a whole new category was created, and we worked together in Latin America. I helped arrange a $50 million working capital line for Latin America for him, so he actually used the money to bring Uruguay is the first country in the planet that every child has a laptop, and you will see that now it's moving forward ahead of a lot of other countries. One of the best ways to, change the developing countries is give access to information to kids at a young age, and let them really go and catch up and compete on a global basis. So the knowledge, the intelligence is there. They just need the knowledge. A project that my wife has been working on for the last year and a half, and actually in 3 weeks I'm going to be with her in Palestine. We are kicking off this project that we are giving 280,000 netbooks to children in Palestine. 1/3 of kids in Palestine are going to have each netbook. And then I've just kicked off the project. It's going to take me another couple of years to bring it, get it all funded and set up, is to give 1 million laptops to 1 million netbooks to kids in India and another million to kids in Pakistan. So those are the two biggest projects. Nothing of that scale has ever been done, 1 million. As impressive as it is, in India, there are 320 million kids age of 6 to 18, and half of them don't go to school. Imagine what an amazing waste of human intelligence is there. And that's not just unique to India. In many of the Islamic countries, the girls do not get much education. They are not getting the same access to the thing. So 50% of the population is denied proper empowerment, proper livelihood. Imagine what would happen to US if 50% of our population was not allowed to work. One of the quickest ways to bring change in the world, make the things happen, is to empower women, give them the right to work, give them the right to drive, give them education so they could come up, and much more important, get their children to become agents of change and get their children to think different and see the bigger picture. And it's typically in many of the countries where religion and government are mixed is where the problems come out. We have countries come to mind. Any country that you see religion and state are governed, you have apartheid, you have discrimination, you have problems, whether it is Iran or Israel or Saudi Arabia or US under some of the extremist, fundamentalist religious groups who don't like intellectuals being in charge. And we need to go back and, I guess, according to their views, not knowing is good. And I don't want to make this a religious discussion or rather what I've done. How, if we go back to human soul and the common thing we have between ourselves, we can have a lot more harmony and peace and whatever that many religions have promised, and we have failed to achieve it just because religions have become, as they became powerful, they became exclusionary and excluded the ones who were not believers in that. Yes?
I think a lot of us, as we're hearing you talk, want your advice and your guidance on some things, but I was wondering how much you've heard about the program that we're involved in specifically.
Not enough.
No, well, I'll try to give you like a concise version, you guys can help, but we're basically, our fearless leader, Dean Shee, thinks that the venture capital model is something that can be effective in the frontier markets, but it hasn't been done before because due diligence for venture capitalists is too expensive, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. So we're going to go do that and hopefully find investors for these small and medium-sized, anywhere from $10,000 to $200,000 type investments, I think is the range, with flexibility. But all of this is done with a social mindset that the businesses we're helping to build are providing jobs and doing good things for people. So on that note, I think that
so I've been, I guess, preaching to the choir.
No,
is that what you're telling me?
No, because I'll tell you something too. We've heard from investors, but it's refreshing to hear an investor, entrepreneur, someone who's done it, but that actually cares as well. Like it's a really big deal. So we appreciate that as well.
I think it really lights up my feelings, positive feelings. Makes my day when I hear of these kinds of projects that you are talking about, because definitely there are a lot of new technical tools that are available that you could become agents of change in any environment you go to, developing or least developed countries or most advanced one. Anyway, there are many different opportunities, and there is a lot that a new generation can teach my generation. Let's face it, my generation screwed up. Look at the number of wars that my generation started, the number of people we have killed in the name of God, liberty, humanitarian things, this or that. Our record is pretty bad. And we talk about, in our Congress in the US, we talk about fiscal responsibility, we talk about reduction of deficit, but typically defense budget is a no-no. Did you know our defense budget for US is equivalent of the next 50 countries all combined? Why do we need so many arms? Why are we such a violent people? We in this room are not. You go look at why do we have to spend so much money developing things that their whole purpose is destruction? When, we had an enlightened President Reagan who did, I don't approve of everything he did, but he wanted to reduce the number of nuclear heads to 0. That was pretty enlightened. President Obama was trying to reduce it from 5,000 to, 3,500 or 4,000, and so much opposition to it. And we have enough nuclear heads to destroy the whole planet 10 times. Why do we need to build more so we can do it 20 times? I mean, what is the sense? And why not have a new generation that thinks differently? When I was visiting our projects in Darfur, my wife had been there, spent quite a bit of time, created 9 clinics in northern Darfur. I tried to go and visit a few of the clinics. Every 10 to 15 miles there were checkpoints, different militia, different groups, different uniforms, different type of ammunition, guns. And I'm not a gun expert, but I could see differences. Some were Russian made, some were American made, some were French made, some were Chinese made. How did they get it? Why is it that they should have all of these things? Africa is a very, very, very fertile, rich continent. There's definitely plenty of food, plenty of resources, if people don't fight with each other. It's really sad how we exploit in the name of our defense, in the name of our corporations, in the name of, not just us. I'm not talking about America. I'm not being critical of one country. I just expect more out of America because this is my adopted country. I left Iran and came in here and with hopes of much better, which has been much better than Iran, but I wanted to even excel, be a hell of a lot better, because a lot of good people, smart people, capable people live here. And why should these arms be supplied? Why should we have an oversupply of all these arms and all of the things? It's crazy. We are not in the wild, wild west. shoot them up and do this thing and that. Yes?
There are some small businesses that come out of this program that we're working with, and they actually are global, like the ones that you mentioned. I think they reach across Nigeria to Tanzania to India. Would you be willing to fund them, or are they too small for things that you need?
There is one thing I want to make sure I make it kind of clear. I have a venture capital business, and then I have a foundation. Venture capital business is Global Catalyst Partners. That one only invests in very deep technologies that are groundbreaking. You know, DSL, 10 gigabit Ethernet, 4G, the things which are very, very difficult. And we have investments in US, Japan, China, India, and Israel, the countries that have expertise in making some of the deeper technologies. US, China, Japan, India, Israel, all have those kinds of things. So with that model, it does not lend itself to do the thing. But our foundation, Global Catalyst Foundation, does provide money to some of the projects developing things that have a good nature and have a social value and are low-tech. It always looks at the things which use high-tech in some sort of a thing. The application is low-tech. For example, one of our greatest projects we have had there was in Laos and Cambodia. We supported this organization called Digital Divide, and they set up training programs and created a company that would hire handicapped people who could take the microfiche from libraries in the Western world and digitize it by typing whatever was the content on that. And that has grown really big. Many of the projects I mentioned to you right now, the 1 million netbooks for kids in Pakistan, all happened from Global Catalyst Foundation budget to do these things. So it's the foundation that would be a better one to look at these things. And right now, with these big projects that we have, it has been kind of limited on looking at some of the things, because the one for India is 85 million bucks, and so far we have got 70 million of that arranged. Another 15 million has got to be raised, and you know how difficult it is to find other foundation, other people who will be helping you with these things. So there are a lot of things in there, but if you have some idea or something, send it to me. I don't want to promise anything, but if it is something I can do, I will try to do. But the venture fund is specifically meant to go into deep technology, and our investors would really complain if we make an investment which is not revolutionary technology. Yeah.
I was just wondering, when you were mentioning that you're connecting, you're bringing laptops or computers to slum areas and connecting internet, are you building the infrastructure too?
Well, actually, we don't do that ourselves. We just buy those services from people. For example, right now for Palestine, Israel does not allow 3G or 4G be available in Palestine for security reasons, whatever. So they only have 2.5G. But DSL is allowed, the wire. So what we are doing there is we give, but it costs around, the best price we have negotiated is $9 per month for this. No family can afford that to pay. So what we are doing is we are identifying a neighborhood, 10 of them near each other. Each one of these netbooks have the state-of-the-art Wi-Fi in it, the H.O.2.11n. And the range on that is a few hundred meters, so it's quite good. So we give one home DSL, and then we divide it between 10 laptops, so the cost becomes 90 cents per laptop. So we charge people 90 cents per month, and only one of them is connected. The other 9 are all connected to the one that has the high-speed DSL. And the kids share it between themselves. In India, 4G is coming quite fast. 3G, BSNL is offering it at something like $3 per month. It's amazing how, without negotiation. I'm sure once we push them, they would give it even lower.
So we're going to be working on the individual scale, and in some of these countries, like you mentioned previously, failure is not as accepted as it is here. So in the countries that you've been to, lived in, and worked in, on a smaller scale, not at the level of the president or prime minister of Singapore, but on an individual scale, what are some ways that you think that we could communicate that it is okay to fail, and the most important thing from our failures is learning from those failures?
I think there is plenty of literature available written about Silicon Valley and the culture that has tolerance for failure. So I would select a couple of those and just make 10 copies, 20 copies as you meet with people. Just say, hey, this is what the culture is, and then you want to spur innovation, you have to have this. And people all want to, have something like Silicon Valley in their country. They all look up to it. They see the innovation, the Google, the Apple, eBay, whatever companies have all started. And, there is a lot of interesting companies coming out of developing countries. What was that company that Yahoo paid something like 300 million for it? Maktoum or whatever. It was a Jordanian company. Just who would have thought that? You look at Zain has grown to become multi-billion-dollar company all over Africa, and so it's amazing things that are happening. And the fact that 3G and 4G is coming is going to make a lot of the things much easier to do than 30 years ago when I was trying to start my business and getting the things. I remember we didn't even know where venture capitalists were. We didn't have a Google search and no directories. I went to library and I searched under V for venture capital, and I didn't find a single venture capitalist listed. So,
one more question about Global Catalyst Partners. So you're just investing specifically in technology, but are you also investing in the expansion of technology and, like was mentioned, infrastructure? Or just specifically the distribution production?
We zero in all of our companies are product based. They could be a chip company or computer company or a software company, but they always develop a product that could be deployed or could be sold by different people, and has to have a pretty significant deep technology in it. That's what we understand. That's what we like to do. We pursue, and the failure rate on that is pretty high because not every technology that's advanced gets deployed at the time you hope it would. I had a very nice company that was called Cahoots that we developed voice over IP for businesses in '99 before eBay paid hundreds of millions of bucks to buy Skype. We were just 3 years early or 4 years too early or whatever. But deep technology sooner or later finds its way, and even if our company didn't succeed, the knowledge of things spreads and the engineers go somewhere else, and it resurrects itself a few years later as something else.
The question is on the foundation, right?
What's that?
No. The foundation is called Global Catalyst Foundation. He asked about Global Catalyst Partners, which is the venture capital side. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you much. Thanks. Always my pleasure.